Why are the strongest people often the quietest when they're disrespected? The answer isn't weakness. It's mastery of self, something few truly possess. Are you wasting your precious energy trying to prove yourself to people who will never truly listen? If so, maybe it's time to learn how to let go in order to be free. Real strength isn't about winning every argument. It's about knowing when to walk away. And in that moment, you become unshakable. Stick around until the end of this video, because the final message may reveal a powerful shift in perspective that could change how you respond to life forever. Take a moment to remind yourself of this simple truth. Only you truly know your own worth. Not your boss, not your friends, not strangers online, just you. And once you begin to truly believe in yourself, something remarkable happens. People will start to follow your lead, because the world reflects what you project. If you walk with confidence and hold your head high, people will treat you as someone worthy of respect. But if you're always hesitant, constantly doubting yourself, and overly concerned about what others think, they'll pick up on that energy too and respond accordingly. It's important to remember, confidence doesn't mean you'll never fail, never face rejection, or never make a mistake. It means knowing that even if you do, you'll be okay. You'll bounce back. When you trust yourself to handle anything, fear starts to lose its grip on you. And when fear no longer controls, you, no person, and no situation can shake you. Most people spend their lives chasing approval, often without even realizing it. They dress a certain way, speak a certain way, act a certain way, all because they're afraid of being judged. But here's the problem. When you live like that, you hand your happiness over to others. If they praise you, you feel good. If they criticize you, you feel low. If they ignore you, you begin to question your worth. That's a dangerous way to live, because it means your peace depends entirely on someone else's opinion. But here's the truth. What people think of you says nothing about you and everything about them. Everyone sees you through the lens of their own experiences, insecurities, and biases. One person might think you're amazing. Another might see you as ordinary. One may admire you, while another resents you. So who's right? Neither. Because opinions aren't facts. They're merely reflections of the one giving them. Once you understand that, you stop taking opinions so seriously. You learn to listen without being ruled by them. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek approval through gold stars, good grades, pats on the back. But at some point, you have to break free from that mindset. You have to realize that living for approval is a losing game. Because no matter how good or kind you are, someone will always find a reason to criticize you. So why waste your time trying to please everyone? Why tie your self-worth to something as unstable and ever-changing as people's opinions? When you stop living for the approval of others, that's when the real transformation begins. In the previous section, we talked about how constantly chasing validation makes you lose yourself. So what happens when you let that need go? From the moment you stop seeking validation, everything starts to shift. You begin making decisions based on what you truly want, not on what will impress others. You stop overanalyzing how you appear to people. You stop walking on eggshells, worried that you might offend someone. And here's the irony. When you no longer crave approval, that's when people respect you the most. When they see that your confidence doesn't depend on their praise. That's magnetic. The more secure you are within yourself, the more others are drawn to your presence. But does this mean you should ignore all feedback? Of course not. Growth requires learning, and reflection. Yet there's a clear difference between considering helpful feedback and being dependent on constant approval. One helps you rise, the other keeps you stuck. That's why the key is to filter what you let in. If the feedback helps you become better, receive it. If it's just noise, let it go. And here's the true power of letting go of external validation. You become immune to manipulation. No one can guilt trip you, pressure you, or control your choices when their opinions no longer define your self-worth. You stop fearing rejection. You stop needing to prove yourself. And when you reach that place, you are truly free. Sagt to the Urfander, end of the day, this life is yours to live. Not your parents, not your friends, not society's. Yours. So ask yourself this: will you live for yourself or for the approval of people who may not even remember you tomorrow? Once you truly answer that question, nothing and no one will ever be able to shake your confidence again. Because perspective is everything. Two people can go through the exact same experience, yet one walks away angry and frustrated, while the other remains calm and grounded. Why? Because one of them knows how to shift their perspective. The ability to control how you see things is one of the most powerful tools you can ever possess. It can turn stress into challenge, frustration into opportunity, and offense into nothing at all. Most people don't even realize they have this power. They think emotions just happen to them. They believe that if someone is rude, they must get angry. If something goes wrong, they must feel upset. But that's not true. It's not the event that creates your emotions. It's how you interpret the event. And that means you can change your response simply by changing how you look at it. We just explored how shifting your perspective can transform your experience of life. So now, what happens when you face criticism or difficult people? Your first instinct might be to feel hurt, to defend yourself, or to prove them wrong. That's a very human reaction. But what if you took a step back, took a deep breath, and looked at it from a different angle? What if you didn't see criticism as a personal attack, but simply as information? Maybe it's constructive feedback that can help you grow. Or maybe it's just meaningless negativity that says more about the other person than it does about you. Either way, there's no need to be upset. When you start viewing criticism as either helpful or irrelevant, it loses its grip on your emotions. The same idea applies to dealing with difficult people. Some people are negative, rude, or just plain irritating. But instead of letting them ruin your mood, what if you saw them as a test of your patience and emotional control? What if, rather than reacting emotionally, you used their behavior as practice for staying calm, grounded, and in control? Suddenly, they stop being a source of frustration and become a tool for your personal growth. The moment you stop seeing them as obstacles and start seeing them as lessons, they lose the power to disturb your peace. And here's something to reflect on. How often do we let small, insignificant things consume us? A rude comment, a slight inconvenience, a moment of embarrassment. We let these minor issues steal our energy, dominate our thoughts, and ruin our day. But if it won't matter a year from now, why let it rob you of your peace today? When you learn to zoom out and take a wider perspective, you begin to see that most of what upsets you is temporary and, honestly, quite trivial. We often think others are responsible for how we feel. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we say, "They made me mad." A coworker makes a rude remark, and we say, "They ruined my day." But the truth is, no one has that kind of power over you unless you give it to them. No one can force you to feel angry, frustrated, or irritated unless you allow it. Once you truly understand this, you become untouchable. Think about it. How often have you seen two people react completely differently to the same situation? One brushes off an insult, the other dwells on it for days. The difference isn't in the event, it's in how they chose to process it. And that's the key. How you respond to life is always your choice. When you get angry, it's not because of what someone said or did. It's because, in that moment, you chose to let it get to you. We just talked about how your reactions are a choice, not something automatic. But if you're thinking, I can't help it. When someone disrespects me, I explode. Then pause for a moment. The truth is, you weren't born that way. You've simply built a habit of reacting like that. And like any habit, it can be changed. Now imagine this. Every time someone tries to push your buttons, you pause, just for 1 second. That tiny moment gives you power. It creates space for you to breathe, to think, is this really worth my energy? And most of the time, the answer will be, no, it's not. Let's put it in perspective with a simple image. If someone walks up to you and hands you a gift, but you refuse to accept it, who does the gift still belong to? Them, right? The same goes for negativity. If someone throws anger, insults, or criticism your way, you don't have to take it. Just leave it with them. It's their baggage, not yours. Now that doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you don't let anyone steal your peace of mind. If someone tries to offend you and you don't get offended, who really lost? They did. Because their goal was to get under your skin, and they failed. Think of the strongest, most respected people you know. Are they the ones who lash out at every minor inconvenience? Or are they the ones who stay calm, composed, and unshaken? True strength isn't about being the loudest. It's about being steady, being able to control your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Now here's where it becomes even more powerful. When you stop letting things get to you, people lose their power over you. That coworker who always tries to trigger you. The moment they realize you no longer care, they'll stop trying. The person who lives to criticize? Once they see their words no longer shake you, they'll either change their tone or disappear altogether. Why? Because people only have the power you give them. It's the same reason you don't get angry when a child throws a tantrum. You know they don't know better, so you don't take it personally. What if you applied that same mindset to adults? What if, instead of taking offense, you saw their negativity as a reflection of them, not you? You'd stop wasting energy fighting battles that aren't even yours. At the end of the day, life becomes much lighter when you realize you, not your boss, not your family, not strangers on the internet, are in charge of your emotions. And when you master that, nothing will easily shake you again. Confidence in moments like these becomes your armor. When you wear it, we just talked about putting on the armor of confidence. But what happens when you don't have that armor? When you have real confidence, the words and actions of others can't pierce you. But without it, even the smallest comment or glance can feel like an attack. That's why some people are easily offended, constantly on edge, and always feeling disrespected. It's not because the world is against them. It's because, deep down, they're not fully secure in themselves. When you know who you are, when you trust yourself completely, nothing anyone says can shake you. Think back to the last time someone's words got under your skin. Why did it bother you so much? Was it because what they said was true? Or because part of you feared it might be? This is what most people don't realize. Insults only hurt when they touch a wound that's already there. If you call a lion weak, it won't flinch. Why? Because it knows what it is. It doesn't need validation. But if you call an insecure person weak, they might get defensive or even angry. Not because they are weak, but because they haven't fully convinced themselves that they're strong. That's why building confidence is the key to emotional freedom. When you believe in yourself, you stop chasing outside approval. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need other people's opinions to define your worth. And the moment you stop needing that, you become untouchable. Because here's the truth. Most people try to bring others down just to feel bigger themselves. But when you're unbothered, when you remain grounded in who you are, their power over you disappears. Now, confidence isn't arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing you have nothing to prove. A confident person doesn't need to win every argument. They don't need to be right all the time. They don't feel the urge to defend themselves over every little thing. They know who they are, and that's enough. And when you reach that kind of self-assurance, life becomes much easier. You stop overthinking what people think of you. You stop taking things personally. You stop letting small comments turn into big problems. But here's the catch. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you stand by your choices, every time you refuse to let someone's negativity define you, you reinforce it. Confidence is like a muscle. We just talked about confidence being like a muscle, and the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. So, how do you start building that strength each day? First, stop seeking approval. The moment you realize you don't need anyone to validate your worth, you take back control of your life. If someone criticizes you, let them. If someone doubts you, let them. Their opinion doesn't define your truth. And here's the irony. The less you care about what people think, the more they respect you. Of course, it's not always easy to shift your mindset in the heat of the moment, but it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be practiced. The next time something annoys you, pause for just a second and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time, you'll realize it's not. And the more you practice this, the more you train yourself to step back and see the bigger picture, the more unshakable you become. Because in the end, it's not about controlling what happens around you. It's about controlling how you see it. And once you master that, nothing and no one can disturb your peace again. There's a simple truth most people overlook. If you don't take something seriously, it can't hurt you. Think about it. The things that bother you most are usually the things you give the most weight to. If someone insults you and you take it personally, it stings. But if you laugh it off, if you don't register it as important, it immediately loses its power. Humor and calm indifference are two of the greatest shields you can carry through life. They make you untouchable. People who go through life constantly offended, always on edge, always searching for a reason to be upset, they suffer the most, not because life is harder on them than anyone else, but because they let everything in. They absorb negativity like a sponge instead of letting it roll off like water on stone. And here's the thing, negativity will always exist. There will always be people who criticize, annoy, or try to provoke you. The question is, will you let them, or will you rise above? When you learn to laugh at what was meant to hurt you, you take away its sting. When you stop giving energy to nonsense, it stops affecting you. If someone tries to bring you down, don't fight them. Smile and move on. That doesn't mean you allow people to disrespect you. It doesn't mean you ignore real problems. It simply means you stop wasting energy on things that aren't worth it. In the last section, we explored how humor and well-placed indifference are powerful shields against negativity. Now, let's go deeper. Why do people even try to hurt you in the first place? The truth is, people who try to upset you aren't doing it because of you. They're doing it because of themselves. They're unhappy, insecure, or simply craving attention. And when you react emotionally, you give them exactly what they want. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to play their game, you strip away their power. Nothing frustrates someone more than realizing they can't get under your skin. That's where indifference becomes a quiet, powerful weapon. If humor is the shield, indifference is the art of disarmament. When you reach a place where someone's negativity doesn't even register, when you feel no urge to respond, prove a point, or engage in meaningless battles, that's true strength. Some people think ignoring negativity is weakness, but in reality, it's control. It means you understand that your peace of mind is worth more than a temporary argument. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some things are better left alone, not because you can't respond, but because responding would only drain your time and energy. And your energy? That's precious. Spend it on things that build you, not things that break you. So next time someone tries to push your buttons, don't give them the reward they're hoping for. Smile, shrug it off, and walk away. Because the moment you stop letting small things get to you, the moment you learn to laugh and stay indifferent to nonsense, that's when you become untouchable. Many people believe strength is about always winning, always proving their point, always making sure everyone knows they're right. But real strength is the ability to walk away when something isn't worth your peace. It's knowing your energy is too valuable to waste on meaningless arguments, useless debates, or trying to convince someone who's already made up their mind. The strongest people aren't the loudest. They aren't the ones who fight every battle. They are the ones who know when to stay silent, when to step back, and when to let go. Because one of the greatest traps people fall into is the need to be right. It pulls them into endless debates, drains their energy, and leaves them frustrated, all over things that won't matter in the long run. Be honest. How many times have you watched two people argue over something trivial, neither willing to back down? And at the end of it all, did anyone really win? Even if someone wins the argument, what did they truly gain? We just talked about the cost of always needing to be right. And more often than not, the cost is your peace. So the real question is it really worth it? Think about it. Have you ever won an argument only to lose a relationship or waste a valuable hour of your life? That's not victory. That's your ego taking the wheel. Letting go of the need to win every argument doesn't make you weak. It means you've grown enough to value your peace more than your pride. It means you've come to understand that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every opinion deserves a response. Some people argue just to argue. Some people are so set in their ways that no amount of logic or reasoning can change their minds. And some simply want to get a reaction out of you. So what's the best thing you can do? Don't give them what they're looking for. When you choose not to engage with negativity, you strip it of its power. When you stop responding to nonsense, that nonsense starts disappearing from your life. People can only argue with you if you argue back. They can only disturb your peace if you let them in. And the moment you realize your energy is too valuable to waste on petty conflicts, everything starts to shift. It takes real maturity to stay silent when your ego wants to shout. It takes wisdom to walk away when your pride wants to fight. But the reward? Freedom. The freedom to move through life unbothered, unshaken, and at peace, no matter what's happening around you. Not because you're avoiding problems, but because you know what deserves your attention and what doesn't. So the next time someone tries to pull you into an argument, pause and ask yourself, if I engage in this, what do I actually gain? Most of the time, the answer is nothing. No peace, no growth, no real progress, just wasted time, wasted energy, and a tired mind. But when you choose to let it go, when you walk away instead of getting pulled into the noise, you gain something far more valuable: control over yourself. And when you have that, nothing and no one can shake you again. Self-mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's built through small, consistent choices you make every single day. Choosing silence when you could argue. Choosing to walk away when you could react. Choosing peace when anger seems easier. It's a journey, not a destination. And along that journey, you'll slowly begin to realize true power isn't about controlling others, but controlling yourself. The one who can remain calm in the storm isn't weak. They are the strongest of all. They don't need to raise their voice to prove anything. Their strength is in their stillness, in their unshaken presence, and in their ability to smile, even when misunderstood. And when you live with that quiet strength, you won't need anyone's approval. Life itself will affirm you through the peace you carry each day. Remember, every step you take on your inner growth journey matters. Don't rush. Just keep going, one step at a time, and you're already stronger than most. If this message spoke to you, if it brought you calm in the chaos, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more meaningful and soul-nourishing videos to come. Your journey is far from over, and we'll be here, walking alongside you every step of the way. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.